narcissism, that they're saying that what you want more of you. You know what I mean? Like you think that the world would be better if they have one more of you, from both of you. You know, some people are saying it's a kind of narcissism. So, what are your thoughts on those other reasons that I mentioned? Number one, narcissism. Number two, it's just pretty expensive to raise children. And number three, um, the world that we have uh, created is not congenial to children. What are your thoughts on those three other reasons?
I think for about um, having kids is very expensive.
Yeah.
It's because since we will become the new parent, the
Mhm.
Gen Z, we have experienced our adult life during pandemic, during COVID-19. So we were introduced or like kanang nakuha mi sa harsh reality nga, oh, this is adult life. And then with the crisis going on, kanang it's hard to bring another life, right? Kay kanang you have to think of yourself. Pero if you have kids na, your own life is not yours anymore. So you have to prioritize your kids, of course. And then also because inflation and then
I think it's part with our generation. Like, we're nakawitness sa parents ba?
the struggle.
Ang struggles nila as the struggles of parenthood. Yung mga, makita ka nila nagkalisod, like sa mga tata nagkalisod, or like kamu po nagkalisod. Mga ganahan na discontinue ang cycle. Mga ganahan before ka mo dive into building a family, ganahan sa kauna na di mo makaagi at nangyagi. Di yung mga anak, di mo makaagi. Ganahan mo na ang ilang lifestyle mas makaginhawa sila.
And also because popular na kayo ang social media, TikTok, we've seen din ka ng mga couples gani who have this kind of lifestyle, who share sila, and then how successful it was or it is. So like kanang ang mga people like kanang sige ko sa social media or ma-influence sila to think about kanang what kind of lifestyle do they want, like should we follow this kind of lifestyle or padayon ng gyapon nga if once you are in the adult kanang koan phase kay
Naku nakita sa
mag-anak
TikTok
mo na
before
yun.
pud na kanang nag-post or think sila na couple and ang ilang yun kay 30
Work ko 1 year or 2 years and then mag-family na ko. So, I didn't get to enjoy my kanang adult life. How is it like to have kanang your own money, travel around the world, di ba? Kay nag-family naman ka. So, I think that's why labeled siya as kanang selfishness, kanang if labi na especially sa mga older generations.
Anong selfish man?
Because we have this again kanang religious belief nga
Okay. So, sige, let's talk about that because I think that's important. Unsa man day ang pagtuo diay sa kadaghanan diay sa Pilipinas? Unsa man diay ng mga anak? Is that required by their faith to have children?
yes, kay
Is that
they
what it is?
see children as
kumayo at magpakarami.
oo, they see children as kanang blessing, especially if in the rural area.
Okay.
Kanang the more children you have, the more kanang hands gani nga mo help nimo. Kanang mo nang misconception sa ilaha. Kay kanang or very abundant kay daghan mo kids, so meaning that have blessings nga umaabot.
Every child is a blessing.
Oo. And it's a religious con mo good nga if once gani maging couple na mo, you're married, you have to consummate your marriage, right? Kay
Condition.
ana man daw ang gikuan
So,
sa
is this overly simplistic? That the purpose of marriage is to bear children. Is this overly simplistic? Is that the summary of the belief?
Siguro not necessarily sir na to have children but siguro ang sanaan
Yes, it's what for
So
what.
what do you mean by the are you contradicting our
Not
religious
necessarily
beliefs?
contradicting or not religious belief kay Merg. Like in some of family na
Mm.
pero man good, it doesn't I don't think it applies to everyone. Kay siguro if kaya ninyo to build na family si pwede ra mas maayo.
Mm-mm.
Pero man good na mga mga people na like kanang kaning ang ilang love for each other ganahan nila i-seal. Pero di pa sila ganahan mo experience mo takes the responsibility of having a family. Kaya mga ganahan pa sila mo experience sa kanang couple life lang sa na
I
sila
think
sila lang sa.
I think what
Mm.
you're saying is more of a Gen Z ideas. What I'm trying to say katong mga older,
Yeah.
Mm.
katong like
Mm.
once
So are you saying that the new generation now, the Gen Z, do not believe anymore in such beliefs as the old generation, that they don't really think that the purpose of uh, getting married or being a couple is to have children. So you feel that they have less faith now in that particular teaching of their religion.
I cannot speak for everyone,
No,
no?
but I'm talking about
Pero
the three of you.
kanang as far as I'm kanang aware lang for
Mm.
Gen Z like us,
Mm.
we're very ganing we are so open and kanang we want to learn kanang more gani
Mm.
dili lang ingon if, for example the religious belief mo
Mm.
na ang gidak-an nato kay
Mm.
mo ni ang kanang unsa na mo na tong
Tradition.
religion o
Inani
tradition
na magini
beliefs
siya.
na atong parents.
Oh.
And then once we get older kay murag maka-idea na ta there are other kuan man day kanang mga relihiyon nga which I think mas kuan sa akong belief, align sa akong values.
Mm.
So more like ingana mo gud ang atong generation na, di ba?
Yeah, Merg, mas makita kag ano na makita ka like Merg, there's more to life than what you're used to. Gani. Makita ka like other options na kanang
Mm.
ay okay, pwede din siya.
We're
Mm.
not scared to challenge ka naman. What I've seen from us Gen Zs, we're
Mm.
not really scared to challenge
Mm.
mga traditions, mga status quo. We really want to explore more, and
Mm.
that's I think why we have this open mindset as well.
Mm. You know, the part of that, of course, is the curiosity of youth, right? I mean, every uh, young generation always is curious about the possibilities, and some of their curiosity is being fed, with answers or more questions. Some of ang atong mga curiosities mas ipakgang ihunungon before, ay lang si pangutana di ba? Ano na mo na gina, di ba? Murag ginana bitaw. So there are two ways that it could go. But kanang batanon giga curioso juga, di ba? That's really normal. In fact, kids maglakaw-lakaw na sila. If you notice a kid, there's a child right now in front of us. Kung buhian na nimo maglakaw-lakaw na siya, iyan ang kumuton, basta mo ambak pa gina diya gali because he doesn't know what's out there, right? Right? You that's a kuptan gina nimong bata because they're so curious. So that's really a feature of youth, kanang curiosity and wanting to explore. But I feel like karon, because of ease of access to information, ang atong pagka-curious, mura na siya na fed bitaw because there's the internet, right? Before, if you're curious, but your surroundings are exactly what we would call traditional, for example, then your curiosity is not being fed with new information. Mura lang ka, okay. So I wonder what's there. But everybody around you, because environment, magud, I think, is everything too, right? I mean, if you're surrounded by certain kinds of people, then more likely than not, unless you have a window out of it, meaning to say maybe a cell phone that you can use to search for other ways of being, or maybe you can travel, right? And see what's out there. Di you ka ma-fed sa new ideas, right? So do you think a lot of this curiosity that you're talking about is because of ease of access of information?
Yeah, I agree because na siya it's a TikTok kanang creator and then most kuan niya is kanang ganing mga clips from kanang mga women nga nag-agi og pregnancy and then she'll make a list kanang reasons not to have child kay child birth kanang very painful,
Ah,
di
ah.
ba? And then I think the more nga nainig follow atong iyahang not Facebook, I'm sorry, TikTok account, the more kanang ang mga tao aware na nga, oh, ingani di ay ang if
Murag mas
Mm.
madali sila.
oh kanang ingani di ay kung naay anak or mga anak or kanang like mga many scenarios nga mahitabo sa imong health or
Yeah,
anything.
I feel lang po no, like the older generation is not very like kanang explorative sa kanang mga different concepts kay lagi di ba wala may social media before.
Mm.
And if naakay ka ng naakay something na marag mathing na unsa kay ani niya or like nakay standpoint about a certain thing, dili man gud siya makakita if nabay lain tawo na naparihan niya. Ang sa karon man gud murag if naakay opinion in one thing, you can go to the internet and see a lot of people with the same different opinion with the same opinions or like opposing to the opinions. And makita ka murag makita ka sense of belongingness. So murag na kay community, ma-back up murag ma-valid imong points tungod murag ay same di ay me.
So like di ka mawala paglaom nga i-fight kani mo.
Oo,
like,
oo.
imo
Kay daghan di
Because
ay
you know
mo.
you're not alone.
Oo,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, one of my theories, but is that all of us, nobody is spared from this, unless of course you have a disease or you can't really express yourself. All of us are trying to build a world that agrees with us. Muna siya mangita gito og like-minded people because you know dili ko ganahan nga ma-feel ko nga buang ko kay ako rin nagtuon ning usa ka butang, di ba? For example, kanang ingon ko nga flat man gining earth. O tanaw ra gud na oh. Tanaw ra gud na sa gawas sa top so tanaw sa dagat dia, di ba? Asa di man
Flat
di man
yun siya.
di wa man ni curvature gud.
Yeah, no?
Flat yun na siya sa musulti ko ana. Buang baka ko sa nga ang akong pagtuo sa kalibutan kay flat. Tanaw na ko sa internet. Uy na, daghana day na mo nga gato sakto lagi ko. Tanawa. So mo na daw confirmation bias, right? So kitang tanan natay mga lifestyle nga ganahan nato nga suwayan siguro, di ba? So dili ta ganahan nga mo feel nga ako ra masug ganahan madink nga dual income and no kids. Ako ra man siguro basig buang ko sa, di ba? Don't you feel alone if that belief ikaw rin nagtuo ni anang usa ka butang? Ha?
Murag ko na ay I'm different there so there something must be wrong with me.
Exactly,
Na-
right? Right?
Yeah, imo lang i-change imong
Imo i-change mo
idea
mindset
na lang,
to
imong
conform.
mindset, diba?
Oo.
Kay dili mo kaganahan nga murag alone ka in your
Ma-FOMO
belief, right?
Sa, ano,
Mga FOMO.
ma-FOMO sa majority of society.
Mo na nakapait karon sa kalibutan, di ba nga maski unsa pa nako weird imong pagtuo, kung imo lang nang i-search if you just dig hard enough, then nagi parehan imong pangutok, di ba?
Real.
For example, nga we're all aliens, for example, right? No, whatever, you know, like or Ron is actually Elvis Presley, for example, di ba? Kung if you search hard enough, maybe not this, but but if you search hard enough, maybe Elvis Presley is alive, right? If you search hard enough, there's probably millions of people
I think
who
sir
believe
nag
that.
groups po na lang una na good number nag-think pa na si Elvis is somewhere out there.
Correct,
Nagtago
correct.
lang.
Theorists.
Conspiracy theories, right? Yeah, correct. Yeah. So ang second reason nga akong illustrate kanina is what was that? Why would you build why would you raise a child in a world that we have built now? I mean, like, it is not congenial to having children. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a valid point? Nga, having children is a huge responsibility, and with everything that's going on right now, with all of these gadgets and all of the things, all of the dangers, climate change and the internet and AI and so on and so forth, it's not really very conducive to raising children. What are your thoughts on that?
Ikaw, take it away.
Go ahead.
I think personally, I sort of agree that it's really hard to raise children in this society with so many dangers already, and especially here in the Philippines, we are a developing country. So kanang daghan jud, like for me, I see people na kanang murag nagduha-duha sila na mag-start og family or magduha-duha sila og kanang have children because maglisod sila og kanang kayo jud sa ilang kon, like wala kay sila finances, and then they just want to like focus more on their careers, and especially like in the lens of us women or like kanang sa among generation magud kay women, they're seen as having this sort of expiry date for success. Like,
Expiry date for success.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Because I know that there's a biological expiry date for you to be able to give birth, diba?
Yeah.
But what do you mean by that? Do you mean that, or do you mean something else?
Well, that is also part of the factor. But
Mm.
here in the Philippines, mga good kay, we have this belief na like, if you're in your 20s, kay, dapat graduate na ka, na naka-career, and like, same sad sa kataga na like, mid-20s, mga good, or like, padung late 20s, kay maglisod na og give birth. Sorry.
Okay.
Maglisod na ganang give birth ang mga women. So it's like, for us women, we're given this ultimatum to kanang choose if like, if kanang ganaan ka ma-family oriented or ganaan ka mo focus imong career. So I think for like in the lens of us women, I think that's one of the reasons why also na kanang mag-dink na lang pud ang mga ang mga people.
How about you? What do you think, Oliver?
The question na face out ko.
So now, okay.
Nga, it's not conducive to raise children in this day and age with everything that is going on.
Yeah, for me lang personally po, sir.
Is that a correct statement? Do you believe in that, or do you think that it's still congenial to raising children?
I feel like there's some truth to that, good, sir. For me lang kay ako man good, as someone na kuripot, good.
Okay.
Super kuripot. Ang like kanang price of raising a child is very expensive. And ano po with the kanang rising food na kanang mga prices, murag hala, mukhaon pa ba ko? Dili na lang.
To what extent can I
murag
sacrifice for like other people?
murag kaya pa ba na ako na mapakaon ng anak o kaya pa na mapakaon akong self? Yeah, imagine na ang diaper 2,000 ka pina. Yeah. Unsa man dili na lang ba ko mag
So you did check, huh?
Natita dito ko ba?
Nganong nag-check maka nganong naabot maka sa diaper section ko na pasabta ko na ko
Dito man
Oliver.
ko sa kwan good sir, dito man ko sa Watson sa tuna tayo.
Okay.
Dayon kanang
Nasiyang
nakita na ko ang price sa kanang contraceptives o price
Okay, diaper.
diaper.
Compare.
Mas barato ang contraceptives kaysa diaper.
Mas barato ang contraceptive sa diaper. Pasabot nimo nga kung dili ka mo palit sa contraceptive, magkaanak ka, mahal kayo.
Mahal. Ang contraceptive tingali butang niya mo tag 30.
Okay.
Ang diaper tag 2,000.
Oh.
Layo kay
Alayo kang diferensya.
diferensya.
So, you feel like it's not conducive to having children this day and age.
Grabe, ang inflation karon kay grabe. So I feel like it will be very hard for like to start a family.
Price of education also is also skyrocketing, right?
I think also kanang if you kanang sa social media, if you see kanang crazy peeps doing crazy things, diba? Or kanang mga kuan sa lipunan, mga salot sa lipunan.
Yeah.
If you makita, some will say a condom could have prevented that. Right?
Oo.
I think muna ang mga tao muna bitaw sa ano maganak mo what if ingani day inigdak ko. So like I think kanang di man sa ingon joke lang pero ang uban murag ila yung
Kay
internalize nga bitaw no kay we cannot guide them kanang to the fullest or kanang until makuan sila kay children they will explore and especially when they become teenagers and then
Like you.
ganahan jud mo kanang see the
Explore,
world.
di ba?
So I think one of the reasons kay kanang kuan kanang mo sa nang makita nato sa social
Mahadlo
media.
ka mo raise og children because it's a scary world out there. Ang third reason akong gihisgot ganiha is do you feel like it's a form of narcissism to want to have more of you in the world? Is there like a huge or a hint of narcissism there?
Yes, I agree.
Huh?
Grabe.
Defend your answer.
Okay, defend your answer.
Because I think the reason some lang ha kana ako ma-hear kanang hala gusto ko baby girl or I want to, kay ako i-dress up or
Ang kanang mga ganan sila makitag mini-me.
mini
Exactly.
I think same ig kanang nakoy same sa ako o kuan thoughts and idea na kuan na siya na canceled out lang siya ato nga time nga iyang gi kuan pero I think
Gi-voice
wala niya na say tarong nga makuan ang mga viewers ba kay I think kanang murag ang ni come out ato is like kanang kids or kanang
Tuman liability
Murag-
na.
dili siya important or like ingana more ang mga ni kuan na to ni Bash I think mga older
Lain na
mga
po sa paminaw.
millennials.
Lain na po minaw na dili important food kay.
So what are the advantages of having a dual income and no kids? We've already established the three reasons are valid, right? Number one, it's expensive. Number two, it's a difficult world out there to raise children, and number three, it's probably just a form of narcissism to want a mini you or a mini me. So my question, I guess, is unsa may tan-aw ninyo, like, is this uh, um, advantageous good to have the dink lifestyle? Do you feel nga in the long term it is advantageous to not have children? Because naman sa advantages ang mga anak, di ba? Number one, for example, especially if you're a wealthy family, nga you have somebody to give your wealth to, right? Turn over your estate or whatnot. Number two, somebody will take care of you when you're older, and so on and so forth, right? So what do you think if you balance it? Ba, let's do a pro and con list. Why don't we? So let's have the pro list first. What do you think are the advantages of having a dink lifestyle? Double income, no kids.
I think one of the advantages is that the couple would have this more like sense of intimacy with each other.
Mhm.
Like mas mo grabe ilang relationship na kanang mo bloom kay like mas naa sila opportunities na mo like know one another as well.
Mhm.
And another reason is kanang mo like katang career, personal pursuits, they still have the freedom
Mm.
from responsibilities kumbaga na like pwede sila maka-start silang own hobbies, passion projects, like explore like their own like lives
Mm.
outside of like responsibilities or thinking of kanang family kon. So I think that's more of the pros.
Mm. Now, how about you? What do you think are the pros of not having children?
Peace of mind for me, because once you're financially stable, then you have the peace of mind.
Mm.
You wouldn't think much of any stress. Are the bills paid? Should I kind of make a loan or anything like
Mm.
that? You're at peace, and then if you're at peace, then you get to enjoy the things you like, kanang mga hobbies nimo
Mm.
without a single worry. And also kanang, I think, eh, mas makuha nimo imong self, mas mano gani kay maybe sa katong teenager pa ka mo nimong gusto, then naabot ka sa adult life, and then because you have your own money, ma-explore nimo, so mas mailan nimo imong kagalingon, and so on and so forth.
How about you?
Ang sa ako kay siguro ang ding lifestyle kay kanang mo last year gani ang chance na murag mag-regret ka. Kay usually ba nang let's face it, na yung mga let's say parents out there, mga people out there na murag ang ilang frustration sa wa nila nabuhat sa ilang life kay ilang ibutang sa ilang kids. Like anang murag mo example, ang parent kay ganahan siya murag mo artista before. Wa niya na dayon na iyang i-push ta, iyang i-pressure ta mo niyang anak para mo artista. And kang kana pwede siya detrimental sa health sa child. What if di siya ganahan? Ng ana. Ano ba murag if mo focus ka on the dink lifestyle at ano is morgig na imong nagamit imong tanang sources. Let's just say that. Morg imong nagamit to the fullest ba na morg at least makaana ka na. Nakatry ko ana. Morg dili morg naka-find mo kag sense of self before ka nagka family.
And actually, pwede man ma-revoke. Revoke daw. Kaya kanang, di man ingon ang dink lifestyle, like, di na dyan ka mag-kids, right?
Forever na.
Prepare man ka,
Yeah, I read somewhere sa article kanina, majority sa mga dink na couples is temporary ra gyud siya.
So, na-enjoy ni mo.
Oo.
Yung life, katong...
Wala kay regrets ba?
kuan,
No regrets,
I
no
think
surrender.
Dink lifestyle is more of like prioritizing personal development first before ka nang murag mo branch out ka sa like making your own like entity or like your family, and more on personal development is the main pro of Dink lifestyle.
Speaking of personal development, isn't having a child a kind of ultimate personality development tool? They'll teach you a lot of things like patience, for example, or taking care of another life outside of yourself, right?
Yeah, I think
Wouldn't that be also a kind of personality development? Because some people are saying, kung wa kay bata, wa kay anak, or maybe wa kay asawa, or whatever, you can't relate to people that are not like you. For example, naay bata, kunya, kaning love kay nila ang bata nila, di ba? Of course, right? And then, kaning basta spoiled kay nilang bata, grabe kay nilang i-take care, and so on and so forth, right? So you can't understand that. Like, this annoying, unfinished life form, so noisy, and is so loved by their parents. For example, ikaw kung kay anak di ka kasabot nga naman like what's going on? So dili ka makarelate sa other people who are not like you and are not living the kind of life that you're living. So imong personality mo ra hinog mas ang growth mas stunted ba? What do you think of that
Um,
argument? Nga children are actually the best reasons for you to be able to develop an even more a much robust personality.
well, I think that argument is actually kind of valid.
Mm.
But for the like what I meant sa kanang personal development sa D.I.N.K, murag mas wala gani siya pressure na kanang like you can explore yourself
Mm.
without kanang the pressure na kanang ay dapat buhaton jud ni nako para sa kung like anak murag it's just like more of like going on your own pace na
Mm.
personal development when it comes to D.I.N.K. Kaysa sa kanang like personal development with a child manggod kay murag mas ma-pressure ka niya murag dili nimo murag ma I don't ma-explore to the fullest. I
Mm.
think na like
Mm.
ang imuhang growth jud if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Mm.
I think it will also be selfish pod if you have unresolved issues gani.
Mm.
So if
Don't we
you
all
have
don't we
some,
all have unresolved issue? Is that like what do you
I
mean?
mean, it's not gonna stop.
Okay.
Jud,
Oh.
maski pag mag-therapy and
Uh,
all that,
uh.
kay naman yung problem mo arise.
Oh.
But what I mean, if like kanang, if you think na you're kanang, you have lived your life, you're
Mm.
very capable of handling another form of life,
Mm.
then I think it will be wise, especially if
But
you love it, jud nga
okay, but
magkaanak na kapuho.
but do you think nga kung malingaw na sila silang dink lifestyle, right? Kung nalingaw na sila nga single sila or nalingaw na sila nga they're just a couple without children. Do you think that they want to go back and or revoke, like you said, that term that you use, revoke their dinkle, how do you say, dinkleness?
Dinko.
How do you say it?
Dinky. Dink.
Dinkiness, their dink
Dinkiness.
lifestyle,
Dinky lifestyle.
and decide to have children, right? Murag liso na siguro. It's probably like a point nga dili na kaganahan mo balik ba kay nalingon naman kasi mong kinabuhi nga walay bata, di ba?
I feel like at some point man bagoy gana relationship ka nang asa wala ta sa atong sa gingon nimo sir na kanang kadang having a child is like is like the ultimate form of development, self development. Yeah, murag valid siya na point na murag ang kanang mga ding kay siguro kay murag dili na ganahan o kanang magkaanak kay nalingaw na sa like sila ra. Pero man good, para nako ang kanang development of like kanang having a kid is different siya na development. Kaya murag namang yeah, bahayon ko na murag ultimate siya form of personal development. Pero dili murag na may mga tao na dili pa ready to enter that kind of personal development. Ang kanin sila mga siguro ako sa pagsabot lang kanin mga dings kay murag ganahan sa sila mo kanang personal development gid so na kanang gikan sa ilang self sa dili ingon na murag magkita na sila anak na murag bantayanan para makadevelop sila self. Murag ganahan sila siguro na ang ilahang own development magikan nila na murag mas maayo murag
Okay.
sila maayo sa sila before sila magkaanak.
Kanang personality development nga concept ba? I'm curious what you think about this. Isn't it that you want to develop your personality for others? Dili man na ingon nga I'm going to develop and become the best person for me, that I won't insult me and be a good person for me, di ba? The whole idea of personality development is so that you can navigate through the world better. Am I correct? Is that a correct statement? Nga you develop your personality so you can navigate through the world and come out of it better, right? Kung your personality development is just for personality development sake, for your own sake, right? What is that for? Like, right? Unless you're alone in the universe, right? Can you please speak to that? Yeah.
I agree with that.
Mm.
Kay no man is an island.
Mm-mm.
So whatever kanang
Development that you want.
development or kanang idea nga we want to be in this kind of version gani,
Mm-mm.
it's from the influence mo good sa imong surroundings or like kanang other people kay I wanna be this kind of kanang compassionate, so like kay gusto ko dili mo sa ingon kay tungod nag-live up lang ka sa koan pero kay mo man imong surroundings also, right? So dili siya ingon more on personal, like very personal
Mm.
development
Mm.
nga literal jud nga personal. So yeah, I think kanang dili lang jud siya ingon sa imuhang kagalingon lang. I
Mm.
think you have to kuan jud sa imuhang
Learn how to deal
surroundings.
with the
Oh,
world,
Mm.
right? That's why
kay
you're
ganahan ka kam travel,
oh, di ba?
ganahan mo ka kamo.
You want to be a better boss, for example, or a better employee, or a better public servant, or a better this. So it's always about other people when you're trying to develop your personality,
Mm.
right? Is that correct? What do you think?
I think like it goes both ways. Like
Okay.
personal development, it can also come from within you,
Mhm.
but the outside factors, it plays a big factor in how you sort of like develop who you are. Like
Mm.
kanang ma-influence man jud ka sa other people na like what if kanang ing-ani ka daan and then mutana ka sa uban na like murag ay dili sila ganahan ning ani ko, so mo adjust man jud ka sa ilang like want gani na kanang
Mm.
preferences. So yeah, personality development could entail both like internal and external factors, and it's how you sort of balance these factors that you come up with your personality.
So when you say a personality development can also mean only you develop for yourself. Is that what you mean by within? Right? You only develop for yourself, right? So give me an example, because I'm having a hard time understanding what you mean. Give me an example of a personality trait, a development you're doing for yourself, for example, and not for other people. Like give me an example. Kuno.
I can give you
Oh.
one example na parang ako na sir is like I do this man good sometimes. Kanang anang getting comfortable with the fact na sometimes alone jud ka.
Mhm.
Kay it's not, like no man is an island, but at the end of the day, you only have yourself.
Mm.
So when I'm like dili man good all the time maka salig ka ba na naadiha ang mga tao na imong gisaligan.
Mm.
Kaya at the end of the day lagi ikaw ra gyud ang naa pod gihapon. So for me as akong personal development lang nag-try ko og kanang navigate sa world na na dili ko entirely mag-depend on others.
Mm.
And that kind of development na
Yeah, yeah.
ganahan ko na makasalig ko sa dili lang ko permi magsalig sa uban, makasalig ko sa kagalingon na mabuhat ko ni.
Mm.
Mm.
Would you like to speak to that? Do you have any inputs on that?
Agree na.
Because yeah, you're right. I mean, like at the end of the day, it's just us behind those eyes, right? It's just our thoughts, and we don't even know kinsata, diba? Like what I mean by that is sometimes good, it's difficult to understand. In fact, sometimes we're the last people to know who we are, because we usually get ideas and vibes about who we are based on how people react to us, diba? I mean, like some people, and myself included, I think, and most of us, we don't really know who we are. We just know how people look at us, and that's where we get our ideas of the self, right? So I like that you brought that up, but we digress. So kaning dinks, double income, no kids. Pasabot ni ani nila nga nasa like extra disposable income. They have so much because there's so much money because they don't have to raise a child, diba? So unsa may kuan di ani day. For example, if the idea is to be a dink forever, like unsa may, what could be the end goal? Because people who have kids, their end goal could be, I want to be able to put them to good schools, and maybe they'll also do the same and get married and have kids so I can see my apo. They have like a long-term vision of what is happening with them, right? Kaning mga dink who decide to have double income, no kids forever. Like unsa man ilahang end goal? Like if they have decided to be a dink forever, unsa man ilang end goal?
I feel like simplest answer with that is like kanang i-enjoy ang life na ilahagid ang life.
Okay.
Gani.
Yeah, like, it's more of like
But you just said so yourself. We're all alone, right? So what do you mean by ilahagid ang life? Like what do you mean? Like we're all alone, right?
Ang kanay na way sir na kanang murag ganig
Ilaha meaning who? Like who?
kanang murag ang ilang life kay murag ganig, let's just say sila gyud ang murag sila ang ga-control gyud. Murag na sila kanang more sila og control sa ilang life kay when you have kids ba ya pud kay murag
So, but that's just a small fraction of what you can control in life, right? I mean, just one less thing you can't control. You mean? But we all know there's so many things we can't
yes.
control. You don't even control your name. You didn't give yourself your name, right? And there's so many variables, but so just one less thing that you can't control. You're about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was stated na, but like the main goal for dinks is like basically satisfaction with like just being with there for each other. Aside sa kanang career development man jud ang kanang murag main kanang what do you call this?
Career development.
Yeah, career development.
So you think that's the ultimate goal of dinks is that they're focusing on their careers.
That's not really like the ultimate goal, but
Okay.
like
But a lot of
part
things,
of it,
no,
uh,
career driven.
yeah, career driven sila mostly, and
Mm.
it's basically just because they want to be satisfied with one another lang, like sila lang intimate lang jud sila.
Mm.
I think that would be the ultimate
You know,
it's their brand of
um,
happiness.
you know, what is that statement? Walang forever, di ba?
Why you crying again? I know.
um, um, they're saying, and a lot of people in our culture understand this. Children, manggod, are is one of the uh, factors that allow couples to stay together because you have a child, right? And it's not the only factor. Of course, you have to love each other and so on and so forth, right? But like usa na sa mga rason nga nung you stay together. So do you feel nga the long-term effects of not having children is there might be more couples now that don't stay as long as we would want them to because they don't really have a responsibility of a child. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but in many parts of the world, I don't know about the numbers here in the Philippines, daghan kayong nagbuwag ng divorce, although we don't have divorce here in the Philippines. Could it be one of the factors nga nung daghang magbuwag because they don't have children?
I think it would be a possibility. Kay again, no, not again. What pa ni? Pero I've heard somewhere or read somewhere, I don't know. That bahalag unsa ka love ni mga usa ka tawo, over time love fades. Mo bitaw na kanang better daw na magsugod mo as friends to lovers. Kay once the love fades, the friendship comes
So
back.
that foundation na kanang friends
Oo.
before.
Right, so siguro daw mga ding po na example na murag wa sila ni sugod og friends first niya. As they grow older, mura bag kana kaning wala na gud sila kanang kinahanglan na murag gunitan purpose for each other.
So sila kids, so sila kanang di sila mag-co-parenting or anything,
Mm.
right? So wala
So yeah, so lagi
kanang
possibility siya para
burden manon.
possibility siya para magbulag ang duha ka tawo.
Mm.
Yeah, dali
Yeah.
siya ma-revoke.
Dali siya ma-revoke.
And also kanang katojud kanang naslay hold silang own choices silang life kay kanang they can live their life dilingon kanang mo'y gimando sa ilaha or it's because it kanang more on kanang ilahang instinct or ilahang
So walay mo
Sa
mando,
priority.
walay mo mando nila
Oo.
sama sa usa ka gobyerno or usa ka society, right? So kanang dink di ay do they believe in marriage? Kaning mga dinks nga tong hisgutan magminyo ba ni sila or are they just living together as a couple without being married? Kay kanang hisgot nimo nga magdili sa ganahan og any form of control. Marriage is a kind of mura og requirement, right? If you want to call it that, from their beliefs in their religion and maybe even from government, right? Nga murag kinanglan this and that so that you can divide your wealth down the middle, and you can acquire assets and if and when you're no longer you no longer decide to be married, magtunga mo sa inyong property and so on and so forth. So na yung mga reasons why these institutions are being built, not just by culture and beliefs, but also by law. Nga kinahanglan mo inani para ang inyong assets mas matarong og bahin. So what do you think? Do people who decide to be dinks, double income, no kids, do they believe in marriage?
Actually, from the article that we've read, there are a lot of dinks that are married.
Okay.
It's just that they chose to be married for it to be kanang murag legally binding and ilang relationship.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's
So married, legally binding, meaning to say, dili sila necessarily married to a church, but legally married, meaning to say, abogado ilang uh, sugod silang union.
there are also dinks na kanang married pud sila sa church. But
Okay.
by legally binding ka na ganing murag wala like maong nag-marry sila kay murag di na sila ganan mo like go back.
Makuha nila ang kanang privilege sa married life.
And also, if we take it into the Philippine setting, i-frown upon man or i-look down man if nag-kuan ra mo unsa kita gana
Nag-live-in.
live-in lang
oo.
mo. So like
So you think so? You think that's still being frowned upon now? Maybe you can speak to that. Like, give me an example of or maybe anecdote or whatever. Ngano man nga it's still being frowned upon man ang mag-living in.
kay wala gibasbasan sa Ginoo. And
Okay.
then more likely you do kanang wife duties and
Oh.
hobby duties pero wala ay kanang wala basbas sa Ginoo kay lagi we are very religious. And pero as of now akong nabantayan dili naman siya we're open about kanang live-ins gani.
Mas
Kay-
open na siya before compare. Pero sa mga katigulangan, murag
Oo, kay
medyo
kuan man god
tabu gihapon
I
siya.
think the reason why kanang couples do it now frequently kay they want to kanang see man gani if we are compatible to live in one space.
Murag gitestingan lang ni.
Oo.
Mm.
And then ang mga older generations ayoko
Bawal
na
ba na?
namin yung so more na to.
Yeah, kanang mga anak magwagod, di ba? Like if you bear children, if you're a woman, number one, that's an added stressor, di ba, in your dynamic as a couple. And number two, there are actually physiological changes that a woman goes through, di ba, when she gives birth. So that's probably a whole new different person that you're talking about. Nga mausab gid siya ba? Mausab iyang the way her physiology is, right? Iyang mood swings and so on and so forth, right? So kung mag-practice sila og living in one space, muna mag-live-in sila, mas may siguro na sa anak para makapractice mo sila what happens to
Yeah, di
to-
naman mabalik,
to
di naman mauli.
no
Di naman revoke.
no but sorry, I'm just half kidding, right? But what I'm saying ba is kung mag-practice man gali, practice-on lang yun in the whole thing, right? Dili lang
Alam na lang og kuan
Oh.
pagmangkon.
but you cannot practice what happens to you
Bitaw.
when you give birth.
Yes.
Right? You don't know. Lain-lain man gid og symptoms ang giving birth. Some people like give birth and like nothing happens to them. Some people like totally and completely change, diba? Right? And it's not just physical, it's also physiological and maybe even psychological, right? Murag lain na ilang pananaw sa kalibutan because of the physiology that is going through their brains, perhaps, right? It's really a huge personality change. So you really can't practice that part, right?
Oh, dili.
Dili na mapraktisan, di ba?
Magiging na risk good.
Oh, risk. Oh, kanang dapat mentally, emotionally, and all ready.
Yeah, kina imong career ba nga imong gi-focus because you want to be able to rise above the corporate ladder or whatever. Start up a company and devote all of your resources. You don't have time to take care of children and so on and so forth, di ba? Di ba before ang setup gid sa pamilya is the man works and the man provides, is a breadwinner, and the woman takes care of the children, takes care of the house, and so on and so forth. I know I'm sounding like a traditional person. I'm just not, right. I'm just telling you that because that's the way the world was. That's the way I perceived the world to be. In fact, although my parents actually both did work, my mom and my dad worked, and most of his and her brothers and sisters, they actually also worked. But I know nga mo the old way of looking at the world. Akong pangutana siguro niyan is what was wrong with that? What's wrong with that setup? We all have roles. This is your role. That's your role. Isn't raising a child also an important task? Isn't that a equally challenging task versus starting a company, for example, and rising up the corporate ladder? Aren't they not the same, but equally challenging? And what is wrong with that setup?
Like, you mean,
Family, father is a breadwinner,
okay.
mother takes care of children, and so on and so forth.
What makes it
What-
equally, no,
What makes it
what makes it wrong
problematic?
lang? Let's kwanza sa
Okay.
because having a kid, it's not just sa mama lang ni kay mo man iyang role.
Mm.
She needs to tend the kids, take care of the house.
Mm.
I think kana having a kid is a collaborative work.
Correct. Yeah.
Effort.
Correct. Yeah.
Kay collaborate kita niyo pagbuhat.
Although an argument
So-
can be made, you can actually have sperm donors, right? And you don't have to do it yourself.
But still,
Yeah. Nagsabot mo.
Nagsabot mo.
Unle-
na may mutual.
Unless you're just a girl who just wants to have children, right?
Mm-mm.
And with
plus
nobody in mind. But
may
anyway,
sperm donor.
I'm just pointing out there are always exceptions. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
So, kanang, it's a group kanang effort.
I
You
feel-
need
Yeah.
to raise,
Okay.
di ba, kanang,
Yeah.
nakalimutan ko sa quote nga kanang village about something to
It
raise.
takes a
It takes a
It
village.
takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
So, dili lang pwede si mama lang. Dapat
Muna
si
sa ako,
papa
kaya I
sad.
feel like ang traditional good na setup sa family is very restricting gani.
Mm.
Mura siya ka ng, abi kay mama ka, mama rajog ka, dara ka kutob. Papa ka, ikaw gyud dapat ang breadwinner. Puy, si mama ka puyan pud nagpadako, si papa ka puyan pud trabaho. Dapat ka nang I feel like dapat gyud ka nang it takes a village to raise a child. Dapat mo tinabaganay gyud.
And different medyo, di ba? Women are, sa to?
Women are from Mars, men are from Venus.
Venus,
Oh.
men are from, so like, meaning, lahi, jud.
Correct, yeah.
Ang kuan, so kung ang imong child or imong kid, kanang gina-expose mo both, like, sa papa, sa mama, so like, ma-develop yun.
Oo. So
Dili
makuha siya
lang si-
both ideas
oo.
gikan sa yung sa yung duha ka parents.
So what is worse? I guess mo nang di ka manganak sa nga kay I was gonna say nga the child is always better off if he has a mother figure and a father figure, di ba? But at least he's in touch with both genders, right? Both vibrations, if you want to call it that. Of course, if both of them work and have children, ang bata mahibilin, di ba? Usually in our setup, either yaya or lolo or lola, di ba? Ibilin ang anak, di ba? So that's certainly better than living it with your helper, right? Although there are always exceptions. So mas mo nang mo decide lang siguro sila nga because they know they won't have time for their children, right? That's why dili nang sila mga anak magdink lang sila, di ba? Magdink lang sila, di ba?
Mm.
Yeah.
Samtang di pa carry.
Oo. Kaya di man nila maatiman, and then some parents ba they feel guilty
Oo.
after, or like especially when ilang kids ni grow up na kanang hala dali ra day sa panahon
Oo,
ay,
mura
di na
bag-
siya mag-lead na
Wala na experience
So
ba na mura.
motoy disadvantages of having that traditional family setup. Nga the father is the breadwinner, the mother takes care of the house, and that's the way it should be. So what are the advantages of that setup?
Traditional na.
A traditional setup.
Mm,
Is there
ang sa advantage siya sa at least la para na ako na at least na isa ka parent. As in parent gud na nagtan-aw sa bata.
nga nagtutok jud no.
Oo. And mura bag og kumpanya ba na siya saktong task delegations. Mag-organize siya.
Pero depende lang jud sa pagsabot.
Oo.
Si wife kay she agreed to be a housewife, then wala may problem
Oo.
guro kay ang traditional na amang gihato hampot tudulon na ang uban ganahan gyapon ana nga traditional nga setup. Depende lang jud if aligned inyong vision, inyong values. So like if you meet a partner nga ganahan po siya traditional, then it's good. Wala jud problema at all.
It all boils down sa communications.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, do you
How
have
about
anything?
Hillary?
Actually, same sentiments rapod like especially kay like 'di ba sa una ang like ang mother kay siya jud ang mutan sa like kanang mga work sa balay like kanang laundry and stuff. And then I think kon ka same naman yung sentiments na like
But I know, you know what? I was in the States last year, and daghan kaayo kog mga amigo nga ang ilahang mga asawa, mga nurse. Sila nasa sa balay. They have a house band, di ba? Oh. So kaning they're fine with that setup. Nga sila kay if ingon sila if you do the math kuno nga mag-hire ka og babysitter. Number one. Number two, um, mo hire kag driver kay wala may maka-drive sa imong anak, di ba? And so on and so forth. So, mas barato pa kuno nga ikaw nalay mo asikaso sa inyong anak kaysa mag-hire pa mo babysitter kay mahal din ang babysitter, right? So that setup actually works, pero the opposite is true nga ang lalaki na nasa balay, ang babae ang manrabaho. What do you think of that opposite setup nga ang lalaki ang nasa balay mo houseman o niya ang babae mo ay manrabaho?
Based lang sa akong partner nga nang setup. Kanang nagdako siya isa yang dad and yang mom ang nag-work. And then even though kanang ang papa ang nagpadako niya, kanang dili ki different from us nga ang mama nagpadako kay di ba kung lalaki ang nagpadako sa imo ha, more likely kanang brusko or kanang murag tough love or
Barko.
kanang military gani ang murag
Ang vibe, ang vibe.
i-instilled nga kanang kuan nga teaching. Pero sa ilaha kay dili man kanang kung loving kung depende naman jud na sa husband sad good.
Oo, kung saan na padala gyud.
Dili sad nimo i-instill kung unsa imong kuan sa una before. Kay lalahi man ang child good kanang yung batasan.
I think it's a different topic na kanang mag-wise parenthood.
Kanang ana pero same man nga na kay na may uban kanang di ba kay na siya common jud nga setup nga ang lalaki ang mabilin sa balay. Kay makawalag masculinity, makuha nilang ego. Pero it really depends jud if kanang you taught your kids kanang all kanang values, then same ra jud gihapon ang outcome or setup sa katong mga traditional nga ang wife mo nabilin.
Yeah, pero kay work man gyapon ang setup kay when in terms of task delegations, na-delegate gyapon siya na nagtrabaho, rin nag-atiman sa mga bata. So
imong sa nang anak so
imong ng anak, na at least imong anak talaga mo ganang parental guidance.
And it will not come as kanang murag more like work gani para sa papa kay it's your own blood, it's your kid.
Okay, in case you're wondering what you're listening to Top of the Morning. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Juice. Atong hisgutan karong buntaga is about being a dink or a what is this? D.I.N.K, meaning to say
dual income, no kids.
no, wag tangko, dual income, no kids. And if you want to join us in our conversation, feel free to text 0999-8876-070 or pwede mo comment lang sa mo ang Facebook page. You can
What
if
are
you
your thoughts,
sa YouTube Tops Media Center. Join us in our conversation about the Dink lifestyle. Si Donnie Villamor. Gimingaw ko na siya sa Dink Kwakwa. Pilosopo kay ni nga Dink da. Si Neil Vibar, maayong buntag ni Bida Neil Vibar, Ryan Chu, Ching Lianos, Joel Al Ablanque. Daghang salamat sa inyong pag-salmot sa atong gihisgutan karong buntaga. Kana bitaw mga managtiayon nga nagtrabaho silang duha niya wala sila anak muna atong gihisgutan kanang it's fast becoming a choice nga mag-dink sila nga dili sila manganak nga they will just enjoy their being single. You're about to say something. Go ahead. Ikaw. Wala ra. So, what are your thoughts on that, guys? Join us in our conversation. Levi Sapio, what do you think? Is the Dink lifestyle the way to go? What are your thoughts on that? What are the other things that we know about this lifestyle? You had a whole list of things to discuss. Go ahead.
Ang katong other stuff about.
Join us in our conversation sa YouTube. Napod mi sa YouTube, Tops Media Center. Please press subscribe. Sa atong TikTok pod, join us in our TikTok conversations. Just comment and maybe if you have questions, namoy mga pangutana, just let us know. Go ahead.
I think you can make spontaneous life decisions. Like if you're the kind of person nga sabay sa agos, sabay lang sa unsay dagan sa panahon, then you can do anything, Jud. There's no kanang mga decision.
You can drop everything, right?
Oo, then wala ka na ang decision nimo dili ingon kailangan pa rin huno na og kalima.
Wala siya like much na gravity.
Oo. So like you can do anything, Jud. You're free. You can decide, Jud, on your own. Dili ingon kung unsay gi kuan.
It's like best for your child.
Oo.
It's like more like what's best for you.
Yes.
If you think about that ba, na man ay solution, di ba? Nga na may, what do you call those? Kanang you can leave your child. What is that place? Daycare centers, ba?
Oh.
Bili ni mong child or dato mo kung set up sa Pilipinas good. Di ba? Naman gyud tay lolo ug lola, di ba? Or tito or tita nga ganahan mo. Maybe they are dink or they want to experience having a child for one day. So dili kayo siguro lisod siguro nga you can just leave your child all alone in the house. Plus, we can also hire a nanny, di ba? So dili mo kayo siguro lisod nga iingon nimo nga you can't do anything if you have a child. Maybe siguro kung imong child siguro like months old pa, delikado pa kayo ba, di ba? Maybe you really can't leave. And sometimes sad, di ba kanang sa eroplano, di ba usahay kanang mga bata, labi nagbata pa si hilak, di ba? Murag kita kung wa tay anak kung dink dili ta maka-relate ana sa mugka sa baan niyo, di ba? So usa sa nas mga butang nga murag nga you have to think about mga lahi man ang gi-experience sa usa ka couple nga anak, lahi po na yung life experience, di ba? So I think you become less empathetic if wa kay anak, di ba? Nga murag for example, if you work in a company, if you work in government, for example, how will you make sound decisions if di ka makirelate anang na anak, makaingon maka-blame na hinong kanila nga. Naamugod mo yung anak good, tanawa ko way anak, di ba? Management is always it always starts from a personal perspective. Of course, that's why we read books and listen to other people speak so that we can be more empathetic to other people's needs. Pero from that point of view alone, mura na kag mahug ka og dili ka relatable ba kay wa mo kay anak and so on and so forth. So you become less effective in your job because you don't understand what it is to have children. What do you think of that? Do you become less effective in whatever it is that you do because you can't relate to most of your workers or members because they have children? Isn't that like a bad thing?
I think so. Like when it comes to like parenthood is a different it's a different like different work na po yun. So, if wala kay anak, dili jud ka maka-relate kung unsaon pagpadako ang usa ka bata unsa kalisod ang struggle of having a kid. So yeah, I think
And also, it will not ruin your career. Koy, abilag wala kay anak,
Oo.
you cannot relate. Maybe you will miss out kanang the learnings gani
sakto.
kana sa mga people nga na ay anak, and then especially kanang if kanang a company or organization is more like kanang family kayo nga murag set up ingana gani. So most likely ma-left out ka, but it will not ruin your career or anything. So dili siya angay kabalakan.
Nalang siguro ka nang kuan like makabuat ka sa imong job gihapon pero na yung mga staff na murag dili ka makakuha kay wala man ka ana.
Di ka maka-gets, di ba?
Oo.
Yes. Pero you can gain insights from
Inside.
them.
So magpakapin ba na learnings.
And also, I'd just like to add, kanang, I think the reason nga, kanang, di ba, kanang, what you mentioned, sir, nga, pwede man you can do, kanang,
daycares,
nga
nannies.
na, and then, makabuhat paghapon kasi mong gusto. Pero I think the reason why, nga nung later na lang jud ang kids, if ever mag-kids man jud kay, we have more energy man good if we're gonna do the things that we'd like during our 20s. Or nga na, kay, if we, let's say, if we're gonna have kids, but ang tanan, financially stable, and then later on, animo, kay, you have to watch your kids sa kanang toddler years, nga na, kay, formative pa ba na nila, so they really need guidance. And then once they reach nga, example, nga, pwede na, example, mga teenager na sila, and then, you want to live your life na, murag, you don't have the energy na gani, unlike before. So, I think the reason why, nga, maski pag, para nang ako, let's just say, na ako'y generational wealth, and then, pero ako, ganahan gapon ko sa D.I.N.K lifestyle. Not because di ko ka-afford, but because, kanang, I want to enjoy my youth. Gani. Kanang, kaysa sa later na, kay wala ko'y energy, and then, maybe, di na kay ko ka-relate sa mga what's going on, what's the
Yeah.
trend.
Sa po ano kay kanang di ba? Pwede man gid sa mga daycare, mga nanny sa ana. Mas naman gud kani mga dings man po siguro na uban na kanang murag as much as ganahan nila explore po ilang life. Mura gani di sa sila ganahan mag-anak kay ganahan sila maka-experience pud gyud unsa ang feeling of parenthood. Pero at the moment, di sila ganahan sila sa murag if mag-anak sila ron, ibutang nila mag-anak sila ron, experience sa ilang own life, ilang anak ibutang sa mga nannies lang. Murag ma-miss out da nila. So murag na siguro ubang tao na ganahan sila murag ako ma-explore akong life karon, ma-explore na ko ang parenthood later.
Mm.
And it's very practical sad kay at least once you have stable income, you have established your career, you have your savings, kay dual income man mo, and then you decide to have kids, mas early na ka mo retire. Then you get to enjoy again life at your
Mm,
40s, at
Pero
your
pero
50s.
kadaghanan sa mga tao dili ba? Dili man daghanan magminyo gid sila, magminyo lang sila kanang anak, di ba? Di ba? Di ba?
Oo, oo.
Ganito sa
Actually, sa
Philippines
Pilipinas,
na,
di ba?
force jud ka
Yeah,
sa
yeah.
pinabuhi.
Yeah.
Dili minyoon basta
Oh. Oh.
dili maka-anak na pa yung mga anak.
Ay, di ba tagsaram that actually is very common, right? Comment diri si Nightcrawler sa TikTok. I think advantage siya kay mas maka-prepare para sa future ang couple, and if
Mm.
di jud sila kaanak, adoption pwede is the key, kuno. Right?
Sakto gyud. oo.
So,
Dagan na mo ka ng advancement.
Yeah.
Plus pod sa when it comes to adoption pod kay dili man ka makakuha anak god kung di ka financially stable.
mm.
So at least financially prepared na ka to have a child.
or
the
or
woman will not go through katong psychological, physiological change.
or you can get a dog, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Equally,
They-
once
they-
you're
they-
freer, masad
they're
sila.
equally
Nakalahi lang di pas kuilaon.
exactly. That's what I was telling my Cooper earlier. Nga, pwede ra ka nga dili man ka pwede mo di kinahanglan eskwela, di ba? So, kuan good, pero mahal gyapon ang medical care and so on and so forth. Anyway, we have somebody here who actually also is a dink in the making, I think, or not. I'm not sure. But she has a dog. Her name is Justine. Hello, Justine. Are you there?
I'm Jiggy.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hello, can you hear
Justine Narvios is my partner for Top of the Morning. Or rather, she is from another location. Say hi to her, guys.
Hi.
Introduce
Miss
yourselves to
Justine.
Justine. Come on, go ahead.
Hi Miss Justin, ako si Oliver.
I'm
Hi,
Christine.
Oliver.
And I'm Ellery.
Okay, so we were talking about the dink lifestyle, kanang double
Okay.
income, no kids.
Mhm.
What is your contribution to this conversation, Justine? Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say top of the morning and welcome to TMC, Oliver and Ellery. Thank you so much for joining us. Sa
And Christine,
studio.
yeah.
And Christine as well.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been listening to your, the show for the past couple days, and I
Okay.
love your insights.
Okay.
No, and I think relatable. Gid kayo kay Murag say we're in the same gen. I assume you guys are Gen Z as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all in
Yeah,
Gen
so-
Z.
Of course, Jiggy ang number one. Si Jiggy ang number one Gen Z.
Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, I think this topic is really relatable. As funny as it sounds, no, the dink lifestyle. I'm really glad nga Jiggy brought it up, and I've seen a lot of posts about this recently, also sa atong social media. Before I give my opinion, also top of the morning sa tanan na minaw nato on the radio 105.1 TMC, sa atong YouTube, sa ato Facebook Live, and also on TikTok. Hi Nightcrawler, thank you so much for joining us. Kani si Nightcrawler kusog kay mo join sa atong TikTok Live. So I really love your points today, Jiggy, and to our guests. Kay, it leans a lot to the kanang the benefits of this, but why a lot of the youth nowadays, the Gen Z, they're they think that the dink lifestyle is advantageous to them. But I have one perspective as to the disadvantages that I think for me it makes sense because I can relate it to something that I've learned way back in college. So it's more of like a psychological perspective. So I agree nga having a dink lifestyle, no, one of the advantages of that is that you're able to focus on like the stability of your relationship. I don't know if our guests would agree with that, no, na because you don't have kids, a lot of the time, effort, and um, resources can be allocated na to growing your relationship with your partner, and that's a good thing, right? But on the other hand, I also see na there could be a danger with like how there's like a creeping sense of loneliness siguro that might come in the later years of your life due to kana mga social expectations. Kaya ang reality man gud ana is like I'm just looking at the how the other perspective. I'm trying to look at like if I was on the other side of the coin. Now I'm thinking for the first few years of having a dink lifestyle, maybe for the first 25 years of not having kids, niya kamong duha, it would be beneficial. But then I think when you reach a certain age, siguro, if you were to continue your dink lifestyle into your 40s and 50s, you might feel a little bit lonely. And so I try to understand, like, nganong ka na, why would these couples nga walay mga anak? Because there are so many cases of that, no? Mga elderly couples nga,
Mm.
they can feel lonely kay wala sila yung mga anak. So I looked into naa may kaning theory in psychology I remember before. It's called Erickson's psychological theory. Are you familiar with that, Jiggy?
I'm not very familiar with that. Go ahead. Please tell us more.
Yeah, so according to this theory, Manggod, every one of us, we go through critical developmental stages, like na different stages of our life that we have to develop different certain social skills. So na daw ni stage, it's called the generativity versus stagnation stage. It's in your middle adulthood. That's like 40 to 65 years old. So according to Erickson's theory, Mangyud, at this stage, our human drive or atong goal gyud as human being, di gyud na siya mawala sa tua ang need to create or nurture things that will outlast us. So again, to create or nurture things that will survive even when we don't survive anymore. That is like according to this theory, the psychological theory, that would be our inner drive, our motivation at that stage of our life, 40 to 65 years old. So for many people, they are able to achieve this when they have when they become parents, right? Or na sila gina-mentor or na sila kanang they're bringing up certain individuals. So for couples who may opt out of childbearing, they could be at risk, again, risk lang, of experiencing a sense of stagnation. So kaning stagnation is when they feel disconnected from the future, kanang they feel lonely, they feel like kulang sila og there's a part in their life that might be missing because they lack that sense of like leaving a legacy. Wala sila, they have not left something that would outlast them, right? Like having children. It could also give them a sense of crisis. Mao na sa psychology naasa ni tawag kaning midlife crisis within that age, right? There are some people that experience that, and I could foresee that the dink lifestyle could be something that could contribute to that. Na they could feel like at that time, again, could lang, because again, this is just a theory, that they lack meaning because they don't have like avenues to give back. No, they don't have avenues to have something that outlasts them. So that's just one thing that I would see as a long term disadvantage, and then I'm just trying to back it up with a psychological theory. What are your thoughts, Jiggy, and to our guests this morning?
Actually, it's pretty valid. Nga wala kay immediate reason to think outside of yourself, diba? Kay kanang anak, like immediately when you see, usually, especially when they're younger, they're in the house, right? So you see them all the time. So you have
Mm,
you automatically are not as selfish as you were if you woke up and it's just you, right? So automatically you already think of the other, diba? Although
mm,
an argument can be made nga you're very altruistic nga magunahuna jud ka sa tanan. Pero kung ikaw rang kamorang duha sa balay, like for example you think of your partner, so kuto ba diya, diba? But when you if you really think about it, diba? There's a whole world out there that needs your attention, diba?
yeah.
There's a whole world out there. There's billions of children out there who need your inputs, your insights. Come on, what do you think of that potential pitfall of being a dink at the end of your life, or at least when you hit mid life, you'll start to feel lonely because wala man kay certain sense of anchor ba nga na kay usa ka butang, usa ka life nga gi-raise that will outlast your life.
I think the theory put forth by Miss Justin was actually very valid.
Mhm.
Okay, especially for like kanang couples with dink lifestyle, they're usually kanang mga younger pa sila and dili pa gay nila masi ang kanang murag future like beyond pa jud na pila pa jud ka years. So yeah, I think it was very valid because what they think of is like the satisfaction that they get now, and they haven't really thought of like kanang sa future na malonely na sila and all. So that's my insights on the theory so far.
What do you think, guys?
I agree with Ellery and with what Miss Justin has said. Kai, they think they have come prepared, or so they thought,
Mm-mm.
right? Nga, okay, um, 25 years from now or 30 years from now, I think I can still enjoy, pero kanang we all fade.
Yeah.
So like, once we hit, wala, di na to mo travel, di na to mo meet new people, then we're just gonna stay at home. Then I think that loneliness or that kanang, kato ganing, what do you call that? The one that Miss Justin has said nga, mo sink in na ganit ni mo kay, you're just in your room, the four wall corners.
But an
And
argument
you're,
can be made though, nga, you can also still experience that once your kids are all grown up. Na termino nga empty nester, di ba? Di ba? That's also scary, right? Nga ikaw, you're so used to having children around you, and all of a sudden they leave, right? Let's just say they're having their own lives, even leave abroad, for example, right? That's also, I would even venture in saying, Justine, that's even scarier than not having children at all, because at least wala jud kay naanad nga na kay anak, di ba?
I
Pero kung
know.
naanad kang na kay anak bago man mawalang sila galit, isn't that lonelier?
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think, Justine?
Actually, I'm so glad you brought that
Oh.
up, Jiggy. No, okay, I do think about that sometimes, and it actually makes me sad
Okay.
to think about how there will be a day, no, nga, there will come a time, ba nga, the dynamics at home will be very different because everyone will have their own lives. Me,
Mhm.
my siblings will have our own families, and so sometimes bitaw magbino ang akong parents, ba nga, samo kay me, like we go, we're so sumpay tinai when we go on trips, we go on trips together,
Always a unit,
magpuli-uli,
right?
yes,
Mm.
mag-watch movie same samok sa ilang kwarto ana. And then there are times my mom would say to my dad, give it a few years, like this samok that you feel, tanawa in a couple years because all of us are technically young adults now. My sister's 18, my brother's 19, I'm 24, and she was like, give it a couple years, kay when they have their own families, moingon sad kami ngawa diris balay. So I know what you mean. I think that can also give a sense of loneliness. And I love how our morning guests today mentioned nga siguro ang focus man gud sa Gen Z would be the now. Like where can we allocate our time, our resources, our energy? And I agree with that pud nga right now ang good is the time to strike the iron while it's hot. So mao na, this is the time to travel, to apply for jobs, to meet new people, and sometimes having the opposite of a dink lifestyle, kanang raising a family, it can, again, like it's not an absolute thing, but it can get in the way of that freedom, no? Pero Mona, I'm trying to understand. Again, I'm looking back to a psychological perspective. It makes sense nga ang dink lifestyle would not appeal to someone in their 40s to 60s. Kaya they're in that period in their life wherein their focus, their motivation is on something that outlasts them. Pero kaning dink na lifestyle, Manggujig, it really appeals to mga early 20s because according to that theory na pod, ang stage that people are in from their age of 19 to 40 is intimacy versus isolation. So in this stage daw, your deepest like psychological motivation is to make deep and intimate relationships with other people. It's not necessarily to become a parent. So it makes sense nga people in their early 20s focus on self-discovery, gaining your emotional independence, like finding a place in this world. Kana bitong typical nga movie plot jigging nga murag like a big, like I think it's after coming of age, like finding a job, like what is my purpose, how can I contribute to society, like how can I become independent and all that. And at the same time also building mga relationships, connecting with other people. You try to seek freedom, unsay flexible, how can you divide yourself within the
So you feel
24 hours of the day.
you feel like your children do not deserve the best of you. You give birth later on in life, and then take care of them because hisgot ka nga, it's the best days of our lives, diba nga batan unta, we have all these possibilities, we're so vibrant, full of life, and so on and so
Ang
forth, right?
motivation,
So
right?
so
Oo.
so I'm just trying to take the devil's advocate. I'm
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other side, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So your children will not be able to enjoy the best of you. In other words, if you decide to, let's say, have children at a later stage in life, then you're no longer that vibrant as you once were when you were in your 20s, right?
No, I actually disagree with that. No, I wouldn't say necessarily that it's the best of you, but I would say that this is a time ang good where you're striking the iron while it's hot. So it's more on what are your psychological or your like intrinsic, like your motivation good at that time.
Yeah,
So ang thing
you're
lang
very
naman,
motivated lagi, di ba?
motivated towards a different goal. So
Okay.
according to this theory, age
Mo wax and
20 to
wane mo
40,
di ba? Mo wax and wane man ang
yeah,
motivation, passion, di ba?
motivation.
So
Oo.
kung magkatiguan ka, mo wane yun na siya, di ba? Isn't that a sound psychological theory nga kung magkatiguan ka, your motivation, your passion, the fire in your belly, although it's still going to be there, but it's not going to be as hot as once you were 20.
I wouldn't say it waxes and wanes. I would just say that it differentiates. So the
So you don't
motivation or the
believe in that. You don't believe
psychological.
that passion waxes and wanes. You believe nga passion will be at the same fire and same intensity even at a later age.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about passion for a particular thing. I'm just
Life for
saying that
life.
according to this, yeah, like for example, having kids, having family, I'm just
Mm.
saying that this theory states that in different stages of your life, you have different passions also. So it's not like one passion increases and decreases
Mm.
throughout your life. It's more of your kanang even your subconscious motivations, they change. So it
Mm.
makes sense nga the dink lifestyle appeals to people in their 20s to 40s kay ilahang passion or ilang psychological motivation, even if they do not admit it, it's focused on building relationships, self-discovery, things like that.
Mm.
So, pero your according to this theory pod, imuhang passion, it would be different in in a later stage in your life, which is your 40s to your 60s.
Mm.
That would be in creating a legacy or creating something that outlasts you. So
Mm.
then it would also make sense that maybe for those who support the dink lifestyle, no, it would make sense na for them, they do not invest in something that their passion is not in. So because their passion is in creating something that is meant for long-lasting relationships, is meant for having a sense of independence, building yourself up, understanding who you are, your responsibility in this world, kind of exploring new options. Siguro, for those people man good, they think nga it would be irresponsible for them to focus on something nga dili in line with what their motivation is for that stage of their life.
Okay.
Oh,
What do you think,
so
guys?
I think,
What are your thoughts?
yeah.
Do you have thoughts about it?
Yeah, agree ko lang sige yun ni Miss Justin sir na ang atong passion in life, like dili siya kanang wax and wanes. But like atong priorities lang siguro, priorities and atong mga wants is mag-differ siya depending on where we at where we are at our in life. So karon sa 20 ko 21 actually ang akong ganahan kay magsuroy-suroy, maglaag, party, siguro casual
Yeah.
casual ino. But like siguro like in like sa late 20s na ako ganahan ako mo-focus on career and stuff. And siguro abot sa mga 40 basin or like siguro late 30s ganahan ako na settle down, basig.
Pero kang having kids man good, meaning imong gi-prepare imong self.
Oo.
So let's take into account nga yes, wala na kay energy, dili na para atong patanon pa ka, lagsig pa kay ka. Pero because kanang you love manggod your kids or kanang you want to have kids or kanang mag-start jud og family or a legacy, kanang I think mabuhat ra jud nimo ba no? Kay you have the passion to it.
If mo gid mo
Yeah,
calling nimo as a person na
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad they brought that up, Jiggy. No, thank you for bringing up that sa itong mga guests. Kay, I'm actually a product of that pod. My parents had me when they were very young. And so, lahi po nila, even though this theory would probably disprove no what my parents went through, lahi man sad gud ilahang what they wanted to do at that time. For some reason, even in their early 20s, they wanted to start a family naman quite early. But at the same time, nag-maintain gihapon og career. Pero more than that, they wanted to have us man. So mo na daghan me, my brother and my sister were 3. So a lot of people would think nga like I'm probably siblings with my mom because we only have like a
5-year gap.
20-year 5-year gap. No, gamay ra murag ano ba, most people wouldn't think nga she's my mom. Pero there are advantages also of having a family early. again, it would all boil down to unsa man gyud imohang priority at that time.
Mm.
And at that time when they had us, ganahan naman sila nga mag-start og family. So I think it worked out for them. But they're the opposite of the
Naghisgot si
lifestyle.
Oliver ba nga naghisgot si Oliver nga ay mong priorities karon ay imong ganahang buhaton is mag-travel, you have drinks with friends, coffee and whatnot, right? Having a child will not allow you to do that, diba? Right.
Restrictions.
Not necessarily certain
So
restrictions.
I'm trying to make a point here. So kung ganahan na ka ng lifestyle, the thing with humans magud is kung maanad ka sa usa ka butang, lisod na siya usbon, di ba? You know what I mean? You become that person nga, di ba? We are a combination of everything we have ever done, right? So kita kung naanad ka ng lifestyle, let's say D.I.N.K lifestyle, maglisod na kag-adjust o dili na ka makabuhat sa imong ganang mangandoy na ka mo look back na ka sa imong kinabuhi nga wa nga tong unaw nga pwede ra ko makalaag anytime paghuman karon dili na pwede mo na ka magbasol na hinong ka ba nga nganong nanganak man ko and so on and so forth because you have become the person that you constantly are on a daily basis. You develop into that person, right? In the meantime, kung nag-andam ka sa usa ka butang, you prepare yourself psychologically and mentally and even financially, then you'll be ready for that. But you're not preparing for that, right? You're preparing for you're only thinking about what you want to do now and maximize your youth regardless of whether you have a child or not. So maglisod siguro kag-adjust ana sa. What do you think?
I think sir na having a D.I.N.K lifestyle man pigod kay murag dapat ka aware gud na murag you have to plan for the future kay ang imong needs ka ron mag-change man gud sa imong needs sa coming years. So ano lang na murag and when it comes to adaptability anang adapting man gud to a new lifestyle dapat mo kan like
lisod na
lisod siya
but difficult, yeah.
But dapat ka maka-accept good food, maka-learn food to accept na murag dili naman to ikaw ang kahapon. So dapat din mo learn to accept na ang life nimo before di na to mao karon, so daghan na kag mga bag-o na dapat nimo tun-an karon. Kay that's life, it's always changing. That's the only constant thing in this world. So yeah, dapat ka mag to learn to accept na life will not remain the same always.
Yeah, that's why that's why you declare it, that's why you say it, because it's difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kanang imong gisulting sayo na siya isulti, like but
actually
the things that we're doing now are we have been doing for such a long time, right? And I've been doing this whole radio thing for a long time. You've been students for a long time. You have been you for a long time. Ang atong mga changes are very small increments. There's no such thing as a overnight change, right? In personality, right?
Yes.
In your priorities or whatnot, right? Dili ginamo himo nga overnight, hinahinay gyud na siya. So kung naanad ka sa usa ka lifestyle, lisod na kay na i-turn around. I mean, it's going to be it can be done, of course. We've seen people do that, but mora ninong kag mangandoy ninong ka, you're gonna look at the past and say, "Buang atong no, I can just drop everything and travel karon nga nana ko'y anak." Look, mukha niyo you will not be ready for it. That's all I'm saying. So I think kanang D.I.N.K lifestyle ang mahitabo gyud na just by momentum alone is D.I.N.K life eventually they'll probably be childless forever eventually. I mean I don't have studies to back that up. So eventually that's what's going to happen probably. What do you think?
Naman sila, no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you first look at a person, if you gonna D.I.N.K lifestyle, you accept it. Mag una pud nimo na di mag kana pud ba if like kunang example na ganan ka like at the moment ganan ka na walay kids pero i-think pud ni maghimo pa kag backup plan kay in case mag-change imong mind.
Correct,
in the future.
yeah.
I think that's wise pud na if mo enter ka og D.I.N.K lifestyle. If like kanang example na karon na wala ko na for the future.
Self-assessment, no? Every
Sakto,
time.
You know what you can do is number one, manghuwam ka og mga anak sa imong mga pagumangkon. Number two, get a complicated dog like a pug, for example, right? Para maanad ka ba og taking care of another life beta because ako for
Yeah.
example we just can't leave the house because our dog
Dog.
is very sensitive, right? So
Yeah.
we can leave him for a few hours, but that's it. We have to go and feed it and all that stuff. So maybe you could. There's probably a compromise, between a totally childless lifestyle to kaning makapractice pagkagamay ba without having to make one, right?
Hopefully
Yeah.
soon.
That's
Akong
actually
sister kay pregnant so hopefully soon.
Ako, I grew up ang good, Sir Jiggy.
Okay.
Kanang, and Miss Justin. Sa kanang, ako may kinamanghuran.
Oh, okay.
okay.
And then,
Oo.
akong mga siblings, na sila family. And sa'yo kay
okay.
ko nahimong tita.
Mm.
So, munang
Auntie.
ako, I would really kanang adapt this kind of lifestyle. I have been
Dink-
vocal about it.
Dink lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay.
I have been vocal about it nga. Kanang I want to have this kind of setup. Pero, I'm not saying na I will not have kids totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kay,
Mm-mm.
Never say never.
yes, kay we don't know man good. And
Mm.
then your partner man good will also influence you.
Mm.
Kay,
Yeah.
kanang mo na ay kanang ganahan ko magkaanak ta. And then, that's why I have a cat right now. Kay, practice ba?
Kasi nga si mo ang cat.
Dusty.
Dusty
Dusty boy.
boy.
Shout
Dusty
out
boy?
to my very butan Dusty boy.
Is this Dusty Boy? Is that him? Huh?
Very similar.
Okay. Okay.
So, like, kanang ingana, and then, once man good nga mag-set jud ka kanang goal gani, if, you cannot just be kanang, maski nag-adapt ka ning dink lifestyle, dili mo sa din nga, unsay tawagan ng, walay
No,
plan ba,
oo.
kanang sponti lang gani, per me.
If you think about it, kanang dink lifestyle is a plan. And that is a very difficult plan too, right? Knowing lisod na dili ka mag-ingon nga kaning dink lifestyle you just, accidentally stumbled upon this lifestyle. Lisod na nga lisod na that's a difficult way of living also, di ba? So, di ka makaingon nga way plano. I think dink lifestyle people who are in that lifestyle are actually huge planners if you think about it, right? Well, what do you think? What do you
Yes,
think?
I agree.
Yeah,
Kay,
yeah.
you have to think man nga, if I'm gonna have kids later on, so, how should I do it?
Kaya ba
Diba?
ni
Kay
mga
lahi
2,000 na diaper?
Oh,
Ano?
nga na. Unsa ba ang
Sa man ang diaper ba nga tag 2,000 ba? Sa man na. Sa nga brand nga diaper.
Nalimot ko sa to sir basta dako kay to na pack.
Ito naman daw sa mga TikTok ng mga barato.
Ay.
Pero FDA ba? FDA ba na yan? Hindi mo din i-consume. Pero anyways, mga ingana nga, kanang I think ang mga dink, dili mo sila yung nga happy-go-lucky lang, live life to the fullest without kanang planning. They also planned and mo lagi na, maguno na sila, wala if I go child-free, will I be happy? Mo nang mag-assess jud per me every time. So dapat jud na self-assessment so that you would know more better about yourself and the things you want to do in life. So that there will be no regrets.
Yeah.
Bitaw.
How about you, Ellery?
Dili revoke.
Jerson Dumalaw, daghang salamat sa imong pagtan-aw. Si Judiel Grace Ando. Ay,
Oh,
Hi Judel.
kinsa man ni si Judiel? Kon dink ni siya dili.
Dili na siya
Dili ni dink si si Jude Ibas, Jerson Dumalaw, daghang salamat. Si Ana Cristel Bunghanoy.
Ay, hi Bongs. From
Kailan man niya?
Apas diri Bongs.
Unsa man ni dink ni siya dili? Dili
Kuha na
po.
siya businesswoman.
Businesswoman.
Philanthropist.
Kani si Justin, kuan mo po ni Carolinian na po ni siya.
Ay.
Oh,
Ba-
wow.
Ikaw Justin, being a dink is that an option for you?
Honestly, Jiggy, no, it's funny because when I was younger, like 18 siguro, funny kayo because I was hoping to have a kid like maybe before I'm 28 or 25. Nya unsa man Jiggy nga 24 na koron. I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon, no? Because both sides of the coin, wanting a dink lifestyle or wanting to start a family requires crazy planning. Sakto gyud ning gingon sa atong guest nga crazy self-assessment gyud. You gotta be sure kung ganahan ka mag dual income, that means from the word dual, you have to find a partner that can also sustain that.
Mm-mm.
You can also find a partner nga, nga, even if you don't have kids, you can have a stable relationship with. So if you don't have that partner yet, or you're not sure to sustain that yourself, then you can't just willingly, or as our guest said, no, spontaneously say, magdink lang ko, di lang ko mag-anak. At the same time, if you want to start a family, also raise a kid, you can't just get into that without any sense of preparation of and a deeper understanding of the things that you have to quote unquote sacrifice. Pero that's why I agree good with our guest Jiggy, no nga, important good kayo ng self-assessment.
Mm.
What do you really want? Because ang problem man sa Jiggy, and I've seen this a lot ha, based lang on my own observations sa older generation, kaning mga tito and tita, because I've also spoken to a lot of titos and titas, or like my parents nga had families younger ba, and I asked that question po, like, do you feel like sometimes you missed out on your youth? Yan ba? That's very normal, di ba? Kay
Mhm.
early kay ka nag-family, during the years that most people would say the iron is hot nga, you should be exploring, you should be doing this, that. Kay lahi imuhang focus because you had a family. In my family sense, mangsad good Jiggy, and to our guests, um the not only priorities, the preference of my dad, for example, his idea of fun man sad good is with us.
Mm.
So dili sad siya mo enjoy og vacation nga siya ra usa, bisag mo travel siya, or siya ra, like my mom doesn't like going on vacations nga sila ra. They would prefer nga kuyog me. So I think it works out nga bisag early, they had us early. At the same time, like my dad, for example, wala man siya bisyo. He doesn't, it's not like the typical titos that they go out for drinks, like my dad doesn't drink, he doesn't go out with his lahi ilang bisyo. Iyang
Mm.
bisyo is still family related. Kung revo nga bisyo, for example, mag-camping, my dad doesn't want to go camping with his friends. He wants nga kuyog me camping with his friends, families
Mm.
also. So
Pero
again,
Justin, my question was, ikaw mag-dink. Do you think being a dink is out of the question for you personally?
for me,
Yeah, for
so
you, yeah.
in terms of my
Yeah.
preference,
Would you want to have a dual income and no kids? Do you look at it as something that you can
sustain.
be forever, or do you think maybe you'll start out as a dink and maybe give birth in your 30s or 40s? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. What I think what I think is, honestly, Jiggy, ideally, no, this is the thing. I'm scared sometimes to overplan. Nga. This is how I want it to be. Pero if I was given the preference, good,
Yeah.
if it were to go
Yeah.
the way I want it to go, ideally, maybe I'd want to be a dink for like 2 years max.
Okay.
Because if I get married, not if, when.
Okay. Okay.
We have to, so ano ito yung manifest, no?
Oh.
When I get married, I would prefer to have a kid within 2 years
Mm.
of our marriage.
Mm.
Assuming that's also what my partner would be okay with. I
Mm.
don't think I can or would be happy or can sustain nga several years nga we didn't start our family.
Mm.
So maybe hopefully if I would like to have a kid within 2 years. So dink for 2 years ra siguro.
Mm.
If I were to give it a time frame, ha?
Okay.
If I were to give it a time frame. Pero again,
What's the 2 years for?
oh,
Why
preparation
why 2 years?
siguro.
Why not 1 year? Why not 5 years? Like why only 2 years?
Gano 2 years.
Mm.
Ang 2 years for me, Jiggy, is my max. If pwede na po 1 year, no
Okay.
problem. Okay na sad ko ana, but I'm thinking man good. 2 years is a lot of time for me to get in order uh anything that I might need. So let's say example lang ha, example. I'd want my kids to um have the option of traveling back and forth from a different country and in the Philippines.
Mm.
I want nga my kids can have summer classes or study, even have a little bit of daycare in the States. For example lang.
Mm.
So I assume lang pod that 2 years would be enough time for me to get our papers ready,
Mm.
to have a place that I can come back and forth to sa other country. Ana ba?
Mm.
Or 2 years is enough time for me to build a home that is child friendly, because my preference is I don't want to raise a kid. Again, preference lang yun me. No, I'm not trying to say this is the right way to do or whatever. My preference is I would love to raise a kid in a house that is mine. Kaysa I would be renting out a space. There's no problem if other people prefer that. Pero ako lang is ganahan kog balay gyud, amuha nga balay. So our own space. So I think 2 years is enough for me also to get my own place. Inga na jigi ba kunuhay.
Okay.
But again, these are all just like kanang ano ra good plano-plano kunuhay ba. And in the end, I still think that there's like a greater factor that affects all these things. And as much as we have to plan, we have to be flexible pud.
Yeah.
As our guest mentioned, we never know. And as you said, Jiggy, like, never say never. So
let's hope that Lady Luck will smile our way, and the most that we can do is just wish. How about you, Oliver? What do you think? Do you think D.I.N.K lifestyle is for you?
Personally, for katong medyo bata-bata pa jud ko, bata-bata pa dad na ako.
Okay.
Katong younger pa ko, sir, like mga ko na di ko ganahan og kids. Kaya
Nga naman because you don't like you, right?
na siguro. Ato na time kay nakana jud ko to, sir, na di ko ganahan mag-kids kay man ko ganang kaya mga toddlers, makita na ako sa ibang toddlers na hilabtanon ka, ayaw niya maglagot ko. Mo to kami ko, di jud ko mag-anak kay di ko ra ko dani. Mo to kay man ko kanang in the future, labi sa TikTok, kasi kung scroll, dahil kay baby videos ba dyan, magka-baby fever ko. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, mo to kaya ko na. Before I used to do like dating apps, ang kanang sa option na kanang want to have kids, always not know. Ang karon ang recently lang itong last na ko months ago na nag-set ko sa profile sa new na dating app. Ang kanang pag ano na ako na do you want to have kids, ang kanang ako na I don't know. Probably open okay. Remember ko like, siguro at the moment di pa gyud ako makita akong self mahimong papa, pero I'd like it na siguro mid 30s or early 40s. Siguro na ako baby.
So
would you adapt or have
temporary D.I.N.K na siya.
Temporary D.I.N.K.
You want to live the D.I.N.K lifestyle but temporarily.
Temporary.
How about you, Christine? What do you think? Is the D.I.N.K lifestyle for you double income, no kids?
It's a temporary thing for me. Kaya as much as I'm not like kanang kayong dulununog bata, dili kay kanang dali ra ko maghagwa-hagwa ako din, mapulaan na din ko. Pero, I think there is a satisfaction, maski di na ko i-admit. Pero I think kanang nga na ba nga, mag-care ni mo, na po kay i-care. And then, yeah, I agree with Miss Justin.
Wait, hold on. Just hold that thought, just for this conversation. You can do that with a dog.
Yeah, kaya I have a cat.
Yeah. So what you just said, katong ingon mo, somebody that you can take care of, somebody also kind of cares for you. At least we think they care for us, but they really don't.
Pero
so you can have that with
verbally makaingon nga I love you.
Yeah. So you want somebody to kanang mo speak.
Kaya ako kat dili.
Okay.
Dili clingy.
But I'll add another monkey wrench. AI can do that. AI can do that.
AI is not that sincere.
No, but we can factor in sincerity. I'm just including this in the conversation. Pwede raman ang AI nga somebody who you think who cares for you, and you can even choose the kind of voice, the kind of sincerity, the kind of pwede raman ang AI. In fact, millions of people now actually have AI partners, and if they can adjust whatever your preference is. If you want somebody who's more emphatic, empathetic. I mean, somebody who's whatever personality that you want. Pwede rin ng AI.
Kanang
mag-argue. Gashi away, sir.
Dili diba? For relationship to kanang work kanang I think naamo jud ng arguments. Healthy arguments lang ha.
Okay.
Or kung naamo gay dili healthy, at least kanang you can fix it. Pero
so you want to
feel the warmth namang good.
Ako lang pag it's different man good na kanang murag person good na ay soul. Ang katabi ni mo rather than murag kabalo ka na ay robot
Kuan mo needs.
Gi-prompt pa ni siya sa akong
So
ganahan.
you want skin and bones.
Yes.
Skin and bones.
Kana ma-feel mo.
You don't like metal
Kay
and
clingy man ko, sir.
and plastic. How about you? What do you think? Is the dink lifestyle for you?
I think yes, sir. I think I would prefer like a like maybe semi-permanent na like dink lifestyle. Like
Okay.
personally, karon kay sing pa mag
Okay.
single
Okay.
single income no
Okay.
and then like I think for now like I just turned 20, so
Okay.
I'm still like exploring what I really want,
Mhm.
like my purpose, and then like ang na-think na ko kay for my 20s I want na like kanang career sa like
Mhm.
kanang freedom of koan, so wala jud ko ga-think na like ganahan ko og kids, so I
Mhm.
think like for now I think dink lifestyle is like really like tailor fit for someone like me.
But can you guys see the dink lifestyle? I mean, do you understand why they have decided to be in that the double income no kids lifestyle? Ika Justin, do you understand why they would choose that? Is Justin still here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. So, do you understand why they chose to live that kind of life? And if you have a message to those who are in the dink lifestyle, what would it be? Go ahead. Those are two things.
Yeah, I totally understand the idea behind the dink lifestyle. And again, it's always a matter of preference and what you can sustain, what your resources available at that time. And as I mentioned earlier in this conversation, for people in their early 20s to 40s, given the psychological theory, it makes sense why it appeals to them at that time. And even if we don't look at the theory, just like on logic itself, why it seems like it's practical. It is practical if you can sustain it. So I totally get why people opt for that. And it really matters. And I think the biggest factor for that, Jiggy, aside from your time, resources, is really your personality. What do you want, Mangyudi? What brings you joy at that certain stage of your life? If bringing you joy is nurturing a relationship with your partner, having stable income, kanang building a name for yourself, which are all valid goals in life, then that's good. But if your personality would also tell you your motivation, what brings you joy is building a family, nurturing a life also bigger than your own, which is also another worthy
another way of
goal.
living, right?
Another way of
Ang
living.
nakaproblema lang aning having children is you can't undo that, di ba? I mean, like,
Ma-revoke.
yeah, dili man ma-revoke, although you can legally not be their parents anymore at a certain age, right? But kanang having children is kind of permanent, right? So, but our character, who we are, is ever changing, right? In time, we become this, and our priorities change, and so on and so forth. We are still a work in progress, you know. Even at the later age, we're still works in progress. I mean. We're only done when we're down there 6 feet below the ground. That's what I believe in totally. So, kanang having a child is a huge decision because you can't undo that, right? And I think starting with not having a child is a good place to start, right? Because that way you can explore exactly what you need and what you want and understand who you are. And you know, later on, siguro once you more or less, I say more or less, that's the caveat. You have become the person that you think you will be for a long time, even until you die. So maybe that's the time that you want to have a child. The problem with that is, kanang childbearing years are limited, right? It's not forever, di ba? So if you wait too long, basig lisod na, although there are advancements in technology now nga pwede ka manganak even at an older age, di ba? Pero still, but it's still risky because we know a lot of kids whose parents had them late na, murag they're not normal ba? You know what I mean? So I think it's also crucial to think about the finitude of that particular window of opportunity.
Yeah, that's so true. It's not only the social clock. No, we have the biological clock,
Correct,
which
yeah.
is it's really I would even dare say a disadvantage for women.
Mm.
Men can plant the seed at any age, but for women, it's not only a social pressure no to have kids before 40. It's
Mm.
literally a biological ticking time
Mm.
bomb.
Mm.
If the reality is that there's several complications, there's several complications good for not only the mother mismo but for the child if you wear them late. So
Mm.
that adds again to another thing to factor in if we want to become a dink or not.
I know a lot of
uh
people though who freeze their egg cells.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. I forgot what it's called. Nga, ilang i-freeze ilang egg cells, Justin,
Diba?
so that
mm,
their egg cells are still young, and sooner or later, when they decide to have children, they can fertilize the egg, maybe
yeah,
Einstein's sperm, and then have a genius child.
baby.
Or, would you like to say anything, Oliver, before we wrap this up? Go ahead,
Christine says, sir.
Christine. Go ahead. Go ahead, Christine.
About the kanang advancement about
No, just our conversation in general. Like,
okay. There's no kanang right way or like kanang ultimatum nga metrics nga how to live kanang dink lifestyle. Nara dyan na nimo kung unsay mong preference and all,
Mm,
and again self-assessment of what you really want,
mhm.
and then make a long-term plan kay dili man sad ingon nga you have to really imo dyan ang buhaton kay mo change man mo imong needs, imong priorities, need man sad mo i-cater sa kung unsa na ang dagan sa panahon.
Mm.
So mo to na akong maingon, and then about sa biological clock, yes, mo dyan na ang harsh reality sa women.
that's so
Um,
true.
Valerie.
What I want to put out there is there's still kind of here in the Philippines, especially since we have very close family ties. I think there's still that stereotype na kanang kung married gani ang couple niya, childless sila kay murag ingnon sila na ay sayang na kanang
Mm-mm-mm.
there's still that stereotype. I want
Pressure sila.
yeah, murag ingnon sila na ay sayang ano wala man mo yung
Sila
mga
blessed
kids.
Yeah,
daw.
mo ginay kaning mahitabo kung culture bitaw.
Yeah.
Ang dili murag, even though we know or we don't even know what we want, and then all of a sudden they plant that idea so mapugos kita. And most of the decisions that we make, whether we admit it or not, are actually cultural. It's not really what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ingrained
yeah.
in our tradition
Yeah.
and murag ma pressure na get mo follow on na. But I just want to put out there na kanang there's no like one size fits all kanang lifestyle mo. There are people like
Yeah.
there are mga couples na mas prefer nila na kaning dink kay feel nila na mao niyang murag mo fit nila, and there are also couples na although married sila dili sad sila ganag children for now because they want to like one of the reasons kay they want to build stability and all. So I just want to put out there na kanang dili lang jud kita mo judge sa mga couples of what they want because it's their like life, it's their couple life.
Kaya like let's not impose
Mm.
ato
Yeah.
own personal beliefs
Mm.
or any
Yeah.
or cultural ko ano to.
Yeah, sa ako lang po, like, if couple mo out there somewhere, whether you choose na magkaanak mo, like, at an early stage, yung relationship, yung like, couplehood, relationship, or like, mag-dink mo, it's important to kanang take to account yun na marag, any decision na imong buhaton, whether dink ka or have a children, it has to come from a lot of thinking, a lot of kanang communications with your partner. Kay lagi in the long run pwede siya mag-change ang inyong mga ideologies, inyong mga ganahan in life, and it's important gud na marag gi-plan out ninyo na marag it's the best thing for us right now, pero always look at pud na unsay possible long-term effects for your decisions.
Communicate yun, right?
Okay. What do you think, Justine? Did we give the topic justice about double income, no kids conversation? Is there anything that we should have talked about that we did not?
No, I think we were able to cover several facets of the topic, no, and I love hearing the opinions of mga Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice kay atong guests this morning, they were able to really capture both sides of the coin.
Correct,
And
yeah.
valid kaayo ang mga points no about
Mm.
our choices, who we are, our priorities. And I'm just hoping that for our further topics, no, we do have our guests gapon to
Yeah, they'll-
somewhat give us their opinions.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
more interaction with our listeners po.
Yeah.
Thank you kaayo sa tanan na minaw nato on 105.1 TMC, joining us on our YouTube live, on our Facebook live, even on our TikTok. We value your opinion so much. Bisag there's no such thing as a wrong opinion.
Yeah.
Keep joining us for the
Yeah.
next days, guys. Apil magchika sa ta.
Yeah,
And of course, thank you also Jiggy.
you're welcome. And what is going on with you these days, Justine? Is there anything that you'd like to plug, or maybe an event or whatnot, and maybe our future guests that you can give us a sneak peek, perhaps?
Right. Wala pa ko events to plug. You know, I do have exams lang on the
Okay,
weekend.
that's an event.
Yeah, that's the event of
Okay.
kind of a thrilling event po.
Okay.
But we do have a guest coming on the studio, no? She was actually dubbed as one of the strongest women in the Philippines.
Strongest.
And I would yes, I
Not,
would
not,
dare
not, not
say nga
figuratively, but physically.
physically
Okay,
strongest,
okay.
yes. And I would dare say nga catalyst yun siya when it comes to paving way for women in a
Oh.
male-dominated sport.
Which is what
She-
sport?
CrossFit.
Wow. Okay.
CrossFit, so
This-
lifting weight also. Grabe
Wow.
kay ni siya. Since bata pa mi since mga high school pa mi ni siya, she's been competing in several national competitions na. And so now she's also a personal trainer, and we'll have her in the studio soon to talk about that. So stay tuned, guys. Most probably this Wednesday or Thursday.
One of the strongest women in the Philippines or in Cebu. Somebody. Wow. Okay. Does she have a name?
Yeah, her name is Aliana Lau.
Ariana Lau.
Aliana Lau.
Wait a minute. Isn't she like from your former school?
Yep, she is. She's a batchmate of ours.
Oh, okay.
Aliana Lau, yeah.
All right. I can't wait for that. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Justine Narvios. Let's give it up for Justine Narvios. Thank you for joining us, Justine. And I
Thank you,
hope to
Chico.
see you here in
Thank
the
you,
studios.
Morgan.
In the studios. And thank you so much, you guys. The TMC team, of course. We have Oliver, Christine, and Hillary, as in Hillary. Thank you so much, you guys. And what would our topic be for tomorrow? Do you have any idea? Do you have any suggestions on what we're gonna talk about tomorrow?
I'm gonna think, sorry, because sa social media man gud puno kayo ang this recent na movie na ni come out on Netflix, which is
Just
K-pop Demon Hunters, and
K-pop Demon
we
Hunters.
wanted to talk about the
Yeah.
influence of K culture in
Kana.
Cebu.
Yeah.
Colonialism. I love topics
The
about
the
that.
influence of K culture in Cebu. Let's talk about that. Why don't we? Tomorrow. Stay
Perfect.
tuned. Thank you, guys. This is 105.1 TMC, the most Cebu music, the most Cebu conversations.